Welcome back to Southwest Yard and Garden. I'm John White. Today we're going to be talking about things that you need to be doing during the month of March. And with March in the southern part of the state, this is one of the busiest times of the year because there's a lot of things that need to be done and you can be doing a lot of things happening. So one of the things we want to look at first is roses. And roses are in the southern part of the state are really beginning to pop. We're getting a lot of good growth on them. This nice succulent foliage is ideal for insect problems. We get a lot of aphids, maybe some spider mites if it's real dry, but aphids are the big problem here with this new growth. And there are insecticides that can be used. A new one that's out on the market is one called, this one's marketed under Rose Defense, but the actual ingredient is neem. And neem is an organic material. It comes from a neem tree that helps with the control of some of our foliar diseases as well as some of the insects, so that's a good product to use. A lot of people like to use the rose food with insecticide, and this systemic insecticide is taken up by the roots of the rose bush, and then it comes into the foliage, and when the aphids try to feed on the foliage, they suck in the insecticide and are killed off that way. It does not do a very good job on thrips though, but this does a real good job on aphids, so you can use those. This time of year also we'd like to start fertilizing our roses because they are starting to develop buds, and we'll want to continue the fertilizing of the roses on a periodic schedule throughout their bloom cycle here in the spring. So again, our roses are going to be putting a lot of growth on, a lot of things to watch for, so we want to get those insects under control. Another thing that's showing a lot of action this month is fruit trees, and fruit trees here in the southern part of the state have been in bloom and will probably still be coming into bloom for most of the month. One of the things that we want to remind fruit growers is that when the tree goes into about a 75% petal fall, and that's when this tree's in full bloom, when about 75% of these petals begin to dry and fall off the tree, that's when we want to put our first insecticide spray on. And this is called a cover spray, and we want to put that on. It's a mix of a fungicide and an insecticide, and so we're going to be putting that on. Then about a 21-day schedule is what we're going to be putting the other sprays on throughout the season to keep insects and diseases off. So there are several insecticides that are registered for use, and diazinon is one, malathion is another one. And then if you want to go organic, there is some of the safer products that have materials in them that are not as toxic, so those can be used to help control. But this is an important time to get your tree with its first cover spray, so they are protected this month. With the number of pines in the southern part of the state, pine tip moth is a big insect problem here. And this is the time of year that we want to start checking for it. And the way we do it is we use what we call as a pheromone trap. And this is simply a cardboard trap that has a very sticky substance on the inside of it. And then you use the pheromone, which is a sex attractant lure. You put this inside the trap and it attracts the male moths of that particular insect. And so you want to make sure that you buy the right type of pheromone to use in this trap, and then you just simply hang the trap in the tree, and you keep count of the number of moths that are caught in the trap on a nightly basis. And when you reach a peak, you'll see the numbers rise very quickly, and then they'll drop. And that date that you had the high count on, that's your peak, and that's when you're going to start monitoring your spray schedule. So on these Afghan pines, they are very susceptible to pine tip moth up to about I don't know, 10 years, somewhere in that, or about 15 feet high. It seems like the moths quit bothering it. So at that point, you do want to get the traps. You can get them from an ag chemical dealer or some of the catalogs that work with biocontrols. Those are good places to get them, but this is the month to get started on that. Tomato transplants and seedlings that are coming up this time of year. With March, we sometimes have warm weather, and then other times we can have a cold front move through. So frost protection is very important this month, and we can use what we call a row cover, which is a very lightweight spun polyester material. It gives about 5 to 7 degrees protection. It can be thrown over the plants on cold nights, or we can use this commercial product called a wall of water. And you just set your plant, or set the wall of water over your plant. We'll pretend like we planted that tomato, and then here's the wall of water. It just has little cylinders filled with water. The water holds heat during the night, collects it during the day, and lets it off during the night, so it actually gives it some protection at night on those cold nights. The cage helps to hold everything up, and these can be used on all your transplants, not just tomatoes, but any kind of transplant. So frost protection is something that gardeners do want to keep in mind this month.